Dear colleagues, this is a case of leathery cataract, and the patient also have pterygium. So doing the two paracentesis, placing the trypan blue to stain the capsule, and using the 25 gauge greaseable forceps, I do the capsulorhexis in the area where the maintainer is present. The capsulorhexis was a little bit smaller, but is a continuous nice capsulorhexis, and will be able to manage this cataract even the pupil is not very well dilated. Injecting the viscoelastic inside eye, enlarging the paracentesis to make room for the phaco needles, and in this case, in these pupils that are not very well dilated, I prefer to do the stop and chop technique. Having the trench a little bit larger, so the sleeve of the phaco probe will be able to go inside the trench, so I will have a deeper trench in the middle of this nucleus, and then using the chopper and the phaco needle, I crack the nucleus. Notice the fact that the crack didn't went all the way through. It's like a 90% depth, so the posterior plate of the nucleus in the middle is still attached, is still intact, is not cracked yet. I'm rotating the nucleus and cracking it, but the crack is not going all the way down to the posterior plate. Here I'm doing lateral chop and engaging the piece that was chopped. Able to slowly taking it upwards and emulsify it, and in this way I make room inside the bag, and in this way even the crack was not all the way through in the middle. In the periphery was the posterior plate cracked all the way, so I could manage to take that quarter out of the bag and emulsify it. And from this point on, cracking it all the way down to the posterior plate is easier. You have room inside the bag to maneuver the pieces, so taking your time, not rushing it through, will do the job. We have to be patient in these leathery cases to not rush, because the phaco needle can get hard, and can get the occlusion can occur very easily. Occlusion means that phaco needle is blocked by this leathery piece, so that will engage more ultrasound that we use, and the cornea can be damaged. So taking your time, slowing it down, will get you a clear cornea the next day. Taking it piece by piece, slowly chopping it as much as you can, so the pieces can be smaller and smaller, and keeping the phacoemulsification in the center due to the fact that we don't have very large pupil will get this nucleus out of the eye slowly but surely. So notice the fact that pieces are getting stuck together, even that I chop it a lot. The leathery plate is keeping the pieces together. The posterior plate is not cracked all the way through, but that can be used for your advantage, so the pieces will not float around too much, and you taken it one after another out of the eye. So phacoemulsification, it's getting easier. And I'm switching the at the end of the phacoemulsification, switch the chopper, having a blunt one at the last piece to protect the posterior capsule is always better, and chopping it to the last small bits and pieces will have the phacoemulsification finish up very quickly. There was no cortex left, so I inject the IOL under irrigation and place that inside the bag, and checking for the last remnants of cortex, injecting the IOL and having that to protect the posterior capsule when we do the cleanup. When we take out the cortex, it's sometimes a better solution, especially if you have a floppy iris and you have to overprotect that posterior capsule. And before cortical aspiration, we can inject the IOL, and that will guard your PC. So finishing the phacoemulsification, placing a myocol and the air bubble inside the anterior chamber, and then I use some lidocaine to inflate the pterygium, and using the 2.2 knife, I slowly cut off that pterygium from the cornea, and I'm left with a clear cornea in that area. I use the knife also to excise that extra conjunctival tissue there, and that's the end of the case. Thank you for your attention. I hope this will help you in your practice also.